What was that, if I may ask?
It was a reference to a game named One Shot that I run.
Ah, okay.
Someone in my group has a profile picture from the game, so I thought it would be cool. But hey, we have the layout that proves everything's set up, so we get to start now.
And we are going to start. So we're going to the prologue here. Basic stuff. Jumping is faster than walking. Jumping also makes you jump. That's what jumping does. You can climb walls.
It puts you in the air, which means if there's a pit, you won't fall into it.
I know. It's incredible how far jumping technology has gone. In the end here also we'll see the bird that will give us the ability to dash magically. So every jump they do here saves like a couple of frames, so you save about like 1 to 1.5 seconds during the course of this, depending on how well you jump, basically.
If I remember the STDQ commentary, I believe it was like 2 frames per jump.
Yeah, a couple of frames.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they finished prologue now, so we're gonna see. It's most likely gonna go by fairly quickly. So we're gonna see dash jumps, which is a dash followed by a jump, gives you a nice bit of speed as well as quite some height. There's gonna be hyper dashes, which is a downward diagonal dash followed by a jump, which gives you a little bit less height but a lot more speed. So it's gonna be used later on to traverse distances fast. And then we're also going to see some wall bounces, which is a dash upwards next to a wall, and then a wall jump off, which gives you a lot of extra both height and speed in that direction.
Yeah. You basically are carrying the momentum from the up dash in a wall jump, and so... Yeah. So both of them making it through pretty alright. A lot of early deaths from Nerd Squared gives Shredberg a little bit of an early lead, but this is nowhere close to the worst level.
I think there are about like 2 or 3 screens apart at the moment, so...
I think this... Yeah, Shredberg is 2 screens away from the chasm checkpoint, and Nerd is like 3.
Yeah.
So...
Shredberg trying to go for like a little hyper there. Ooh, misses the upward dash, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Nerd Squared gets the first try, very nicely done.
Gets that wave dash there.
Yeah, the wave dash, thank you.
Yeah, and then there's an extended, which are 2 different dashes you can do to kind of get a ton of extra speed while also giving you your dash back, which they can take a bit longer to set up and do than a hyper dash can, but a hyper dash doesn't get you your dash back. So, of course, you gotta kind of juggle and know which dash you want to do. Yeah. Shredberg going for a little cool jump there, and then gonna do neutral jumps. Okay, never mind.
Nerd Square did like a little wall jump there on like right below the spikes. That was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Set up there. Nerd Square going for these neutral wall jumps can be a bit tricky.
Yeah.
You have to be very nice with your timing.
You have to
very nicely done there.
You have to stop holding a direction as soon as you wall jump and then hold back to the left. And if you do it correctly, you can gain height by just wall jumping.
Yeah, without losing stamina, because otherwise you would lose pretty much all of your stamina and just fall down when you get almost to the top. Yeah. So that was Forsaken City. We're moving now to the old site here. So we're gonna see some dream blocks in a little bit here once they're activated, which is just the runners are gonna runners are gonna dash into them. And then they're going to be sent on a path in the direction they dash through them until the end of the block, or until they hit a wall, in which case they will die.
Yeah, so like now you see Shredberg makes it to this cutscene and the dream blocks are activated. Nerd Square not far behind at all.
So I see someone asking in chat. So Shredberg has a 56 for PB, and Nerd has a 118, 1 that is.
Mm-hmm. Which I definitely think is super easily improvable. Like, even with the way he's playing right now, it's on pace for a huge improvement. Probably.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, the other chapters are very mean. And even Battling here is a bit mean. Battling will follow you. Will follow your exact movement 3 seconds behind when you do it. So you have to keep on your toes and make sure you don't tread the same steps. And then also hit these keys, which the keys will move blocks, and you basically always want to have them moved because like 99% of the times, I'd say, the block is covering the way out of the screen.
Yeah, I think the only time that I can remember off the top of my head is in like one of the seasides, so that's not really relevant at all to this run anyway.
Yeah, that is not.
Urge Square gets a little bit stuck there, unfortunately. Sure, they're taking nice and easy with those battle lanes, don't want to get hit by them. These two rooms can be very punishing because you can't really outrun battle lane like you can in the other rooms. Since you sort of have to backtrack on yourself, especially in this last room now that Shredberg is in. Yeah. You have to like collect the keys and then walk back into the path, so it's definitely one of the more punishing sections where you have to not only think about your own movement but also the bad line movement.
Yeah, Nerd Square taking a pretty safe route through it, and at this point, unless you like accidentally dash into a wall by going the wrong direction on your dash, there's not really any risk of death. And especially as we get to the awake portion here, where there's nothing except for just straight up movement, there's going to just be no way to die at all. Unless you go and try and get the strawberry, but we're not doing that.
Or if you retry instead of skipping cutscene.
Oh yeah, that too, but...
Yeah, that most likely will happen.
That's actually a very big risk of happening all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright, so...
But Shredberg manages to skip the cutscene, very well executed. And Nerd Square also about to finish. These three runners are, I think, it's going to finish about 10 seconds apart.
Yeah.
Which after old side is... Yeah, about 10, 11 seconds there. So that's a very, very close race so far, actually.
Yeah, two pretty good old sites. Now moving on to Resort, where nobody likes to be. Except maybe Ashiro. Ashiro likes to be here, but a lot of runners do not like it that much.
Yeah.
We do see Kilos, though.
The reason for them not liking it is mostly because of the cycle. So this is the cycle-based section here. There's going to be a bunch of dust bunnies here on their set paths, and not only do you have to think about the one cycle when you enter the room, but they also have a death cycle. So a lot of players, when they die once, will have a bit of trouble with the death cycle because usually it's a lot worse of a cycle as well, which just sort of adds up to why people generally don't love this chapter that much.
Yeah. It doesn't help that this is the level where the difficulty really picks up after the first two.
Runners are basically in sync right now, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Shredberg going for a little bit of skip there, giving him a little bit of a lead, but it's like, I think it's just a couple of seconds apart here.
Yeah, and he died.
Every death will be a lead change at this point.
Yeah, I still think technically based on the desync of the in-game timers, there might be a second lead for Shredberg, but... Okay,
perhaps.
it's definitely a tie, probably. Okay, well, not anymore. Nope. I don't know what to say.
This is a really back and forth race so far. This is actually pretty interesting.
It's really good.
Hopefully it'll keep like this. Yeah. So I talked to the runners a little bit beforehand, and they both expressed some level of uncertainty. Shredberg was a little bit worried about Summit, which I'm assuming a lot of players are generally. However, Nerd Square was more...
It's a hard level.
Nerd Square was actually a bit more worried about Reflection, so we'll see how they fare in those two chapters, because I feel like that could be where we see some more difference later on.
Well, right now we're barely seeing any difference.
Wow, this is ridiculously synced. That is incredible.
Oh no!
Oh no!
That actually causes a lead change. Shredberg retrying.
What is this race? So this is like... Usually there's like at least a small difference between like after the first two chapters. But this is like incredibly neck and neck, even after like 8 minutes of gameplay, which is not very common. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Shredberg accidentally doing a little screen transition there. Nerd Square taking the lead by a little bit now. It may be actually the biggest lead we've seen so far in this race. Ooh. Ooh. Nerd Square just barely avoiding those dust bunnies, but manages to live through the cycle room and gets out very nicely done. This room, the room that Shred is in now, it's been the pain of my existence since like a couple of weeks ago, and I actually learned the sort of proper strat, because it's a fairly tight cycle you can make, but like if you don't know it, that room is such a pain. So very well done. Both of the runners getting through that very nicely on the first try. So
yeah, hit their box button, and Shredberg right there. Although the order you hit the buttons in this huge mech section actually does like change what kind of stuff is there in the other sections, the really only reason why that the runners do the order they do is because you have to talk to a Shiro in between each section, so you try and exit as close to a Shiro as possible.
Yeah, we'll see that especially after this little section that they're in now. We're gonna fall down, and Shiro's gonna be straight to our right. So
yeah.
Since we don't want to spend too much time navigating that huge mess, because I don't think we talked about it, but it's just a bunch of narrow pathways and really like precise dashes. So you want to get that over with as soon as possible. So moving as little as possible from the different sections of Shiro is way quicker than anything else. Yeah. Shredberg now finishing off the second portion, or square just a room behind, having a little bit of trouble there.
Yeah, this is a tricky room.
There we go. Gets past it. Very nicely done. So Shred now.
This room.
Ooh,
yeah.
nice.
This is a room where the death cycle is necessarily really bad, and it's definitely understandable if you want to leave the room just to reset your cycle to the correct one.
Yeah, there's a couple of rooms like this. I swear, just getting through it first try, very, very nicely done there.
And then taking death here.
But unfortunate, but that's not too close to a death. Not like you have to reset the room like the other one, so.
Yep.
Takes it slow there as well.
I'm still doing pretty good. Still only a screen behind, so.
Yeah, like, honestly, looking at, when I looked at their, or heard of the previous, I'm still a bit surprised that we're close to this so far, so.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be fun seeing how it's gonna end, because this might be a really good race.
Definitely. Especially with Shredberg heading to the elevator shaft. Now kind of starting the second half of the level.
Yeah, the Shred and Nerd are just about a room apart so far, so it's it's really, really close.
Ooh. Alright, we're good.
Nice save there by Nerd, getting that coin on second jump.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh, just barely avoiding that last spin, but very well done.
That was scary.
Yep.
Right,
but he does get through it.
I don't know if these were explained, but these platforms with the little hairs on them, when you make contact with the hairs, dust bunnies appear there, so you can't touch them twice. And Nerd missed a crystal there and ended up dying.
Gets that wall bounce, very nice done. Second turn out. Now they're in this little room with the four platforms. Shred taking it a bit safe there. Nice. Oh, just barely dodged into that. It's very unfortunate. Nerd going for the hypers.
Yeah.
Okay. He's better than that. He's better at that than me.
Yeah. So a little fun fact for those who don't know, there's a kind of joke with the Celeste tourney participants right now, where a lot of people decided to make their profile pictures common death spots in the run. And I actually changed my profile picture to those hypers.
I really should do that too. Either that or key skip would actually be more appropriate than what I have right now. But
I forget who it was who changed their picture to trying to talk to a Shiro.
Oh, good question.
That's probably Moose, I think.
Oh yeah, Moose.
Speaking of a Shiro,
here he is.
He's really mad now. He tries to track your vertical position, and then when the lightning happens, he does a horizontal charge.
Yeah, he is a bit mad at us, but at least he's nice enough to give us a warning when he's about to attack. So
yeah, unlike something we'll talk about soon after, which I believe is your current picture.
It is indeed.
Yeah.
The other bane of my existence. It's actually gone a lot better recently, but hey, I'm still gonna keep it because it's pretty nice.
I actually usually don't have a problem with them. It's just they exist, and I'm not a fan of it.
They just exist. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much everything in this game, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, they're still just about a room apart, and since Shredberg has like a couple of seconds behind, I think they're almost tied.
All right, we'll see what their time is at the end of the chapter, I guess.
Yeah. Ooh, Nerd taking a bit of unfortunate death there at the end of those the dash. I don't know what's called that. The dash section. It's just a bunch of dashes with dash.
The dual section. I don't know. Oh, doing an up dash there to avoid a Shiro.
Ooh, Shred bopping a Shiro on the way there as well. Very nice.
Yeah, if you bop on top of a Shiro's head, you get your dash back, as well as your stamina, which lets you wall climb more. You don't do too much climbing here, I guess, because you're just trying to run horizontally, but it can happen. Like right there.
Can't really have too little stamina.
Yeah.
Shredberg here on the last little jump and finishes up there with an 8.14. And Nerd Squared there also on the last couple of jumps there. Hopefully he takes it safe, very smart there. Death Stare can be incredibly costly.
Ooh, Alright, so it looks like we have a 13.39 versus a 13.53.
Yep, so that's about 14 seconds.
Resort,
which is, after Resort, is incredibly close.
Yeah, especially with all the things that happened between both of those.
Yeah, that was kind of an intense chapter. It was just a bunch of lead changes back and forth, but for now we do have Shredberg in the lead a little bit as we move into Golden Ridge. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the mechanics as we have right now?
Alright, so there's a lot of things that you get introduced to within like the first 3 screens of Golden Ridge. There's the clouds, which are basically trampolines. There's the bubbles, which are basically an extra dash that you can reach in midair. And you can actually dash out of the bubbles, but if you don't do that, it'll give you your dash back, as if you dash out of them, that's just your dash gone. There's also a second delay you might see there from Nerd before a bubble is used, but you can actually press your dash button to make it launch faster. And then the wind just kind of pushes you in the direction that it's moving.
You actually can't dash out of those green bubbles in any way that reduces your dash?
Oh, you can't?
No,
I mean, you probably could really quickly. I don't know.
I think you're thinking about the red bubbles. And
I mean, yeah, you can dash out of the red. I feel like I've dashed out of a green bubble before.
I mean, you can dash out on the quicker, but you will always get your dash back no matter what.
Okay. I don't know. This game's weird.
Oh. yeah, that's probably true. So now we're seeing these clouds used here. Let's see, Shredberg goes for the little extended dash jump there to skip the middle cloud, but having a bit of trouble, unfortunately. Doesn't really get his dash back. Shredberg going for, not taking the block far enough out, so he has to wait for it to retry, or to respawn there.
Yep.
Yeah, Square now taking the safe route there and just using cloud as intended.
Yep.
See, Shredberg here going for a couple of wall bounces there. Ooh, just barely missed it. So in screen stages, you get your dash back. So he uses that to try to get a wall bounce on the little bottom section there, and then as well be able to reach up to the second wall, but doesn't really get it. Did Nerd Square just do the spike jump?
Yes, Nerd Square just did the spike jump where, and that was pretty interesting to see.
Nice.
Spikes don't really have a hitbox when you're moving away from them, so you can wall jump off of the corner of a wall where spikes are while moving away from them, and they won't damage you.
Ooh. Nerd trying to go for that skip there, but unfortunately missed it by just a little bit.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed, and one thing I recommend Nerd to work on to improve his time is that they are having a lot of problems, I've noticed, getting their dash back when attempting to do an extended dash, so...
yeah, I think that's a pretty common thing for the new runners.
Yeah, but that's something really important to work on.
Yeah, I think, honestly, most of that is just by playing the game. It's not... For me, at least, it wasn't really something I actually worked on. It just sort of... As I tried doing skips and I sort of learned the timing, then it just sort of came there. But it is absolutely an important skill to have, so it's going to help with so many skips. So both players are now, basically tied again, as moving in here to last couple rooms here before the cliff face section. Nerd going for that little wave dash there, but almost gets it too. Gets the second one, very nicely done there.
That second one is always really kind of scary.
Nerd Square here again, going for the extended dash jump there, not waiting quite long enough, as you said earlier.
Yep. All right, but he gets
there we go against it.
And
that's gonna switch the lead once again back to Nerd Square.
Yeah, especially because Shredberg just doing that the normal way.
Ooh, Nerd Square is losing stamina.
Oh no! Fortunately, this screen has multiple checkpoints in the middle of it, so it's not one of the more costly ones. Which, in later levels, there are going to be longer screens without any checkpoints in them.
Shredberg accidentally just walking off the screen. That's unfortunate. And Nerd Square, that means also that Nerd Square is back in the lead here. Moving into the last screen now before the Harshwind section, so.
Yep. And Shredberg just a screen behind. Yeah, I don't know if this will be the only tourney this game ever has, though.
I really don't hope so.
definitely have a chance. Maybe if we have another tourney, especially if we have another Speed Gaming hosted tourney, we might see something other than any percent, but I don't know. So yeah.
So now we're in the harsh wind section here. So the wind is gonna basically make us not able to walk, and we're gonna have to utilize dashing and all the tech with dashing to move forward. And also we have these friends that we started to talk about earlier, these snowballs here. So they, like a zero, tracks your vertical position and then flies from the right side of the screen. But unlike your zero, they don't actually give off a warning. They just sort of come at you and then try to ruin your day.
Yeah. They do move slower than a Shiro, though, so
yes,
you do have more time to react to them. Although they do come out faster, so
yeah. I think it's about the same, but also since they're sort of coming in front of you, I think it's a little bit harder to time, especially since you also have this wind working against you.
Yeah.
It can be fairly tricky. Notice we're going for a little bit of reverse there. Unfortunately, getting hit by that snowball. Let's see if he goes.
Ooh.
Yeah. Way dash there at the end. Nicely done. He's gonna go for it again. Nope. Just goes for a normal. Oh no! Shredberg has now finished up with the snowball rooms here, so he's pretty much home free.
Yeah, this is the second last room.
Nerd squared here on the last little room. Don't get hit by. Oh, bumps the snowball. Okay, we're fine. We're fine. Let's move on.
Yeah. Shredberg has the lead now. The last screen of the level is a harsh wind screen where the wind's actually moving with you, so it's pretty fun to do. Pretty hard though. You see death there.
Nerd Squirrel's taking. Shredberg also taking a death. I'm not sure who's gonna be in the lead after this. We'll have to wait and see. Nerd Squirrel now in the final room. The little final section there gets a little dash. Nice. Finishes at 2021. And Shredberg at 2021. We are dead equal.
And alright, so it looks like Nerd Squared is 0.4 behind, entering Mirror Temple.
So 0.4 ahead, right?
No, because Nerd has a 0.8 and Shredberg has a 0.4, I believe.
Yeah, so Shredberg is ahead. You want the lower time.
Yeah, I know. I thought you said Nerd Squared was ahead.
They are 0.4 seconds. Anyway, after 4 chapters out of 7, they are 0.4 seconds apart. This is weird.
Yeah. I'm both having a little bit of trouble with these dash blocks. The dash blocks will kind of move on their specified track when you dash. Not directly at them, but just at any point. Oh, and this is interesting. We see Shredberg not even going for the normal strat where that Nerd Squared is doing right there. But with Nerd Squared having a few problems with the strat, oh no! Kind of paid off for Shredberg to take it safe.
Nerd's having a bit of trouble there with that little. Should really just dash upwards. You can't do that cycle, Nerd. Just go upwards. No. Nerd, go upwards.
Jeez.
Okay, Shredberg now moving in. You can't do that cycle.
This is something that Shredberg might like.
Shredberg is now taking quite a large lead because of this.
Oh no!
Oh no!
He made it. Okay, yeah, he's pausing for a second. Reloading.
He's going for the cycle again. No.
I mean,
okay.
If you reload the room like that, then it should work. Because originally, if you enter the room and then try moving as fast as possible to those, it's actually a little bit fast. So you do have to stall a little bit before getting into the bubble.
Okay, it gets past the room.
Alright, there we go.
Oh, that was painful. Okay, so we have Shredberg now in the last couple rooms here before the unraveling section. He did a skip earlier as well, involving a red bubble, hidden red bubble.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Okay.
There we go. We have movement again. Okay. So, there's a hidden red bubble, which is used for a collectible, but we also use it because it's just faster than having to collect the key. And we now see the mirror, so we're gonna meet our new friends once again this time the friends are Seekers. So you want to go ahead and talk about Seekers real quick?
Alright, so Seekers, okay, oh, we have Shredberg's audio now. Alright, but the Seekers, it's basically introduced in this section where you play as one. You'll see they can dash, they can move in basically every direction, they can break these walls, they can't go past these kind of weird spirit barrier walls, and they can kill Madeline. And that's going to be really important because a few screens from where Shredberg is now, they're going to become enemies and have all the properties that they had when you were playing as one. Oh no! Nerd Squared accidentally dashing out of the red bubble, taking a death right at the end of the room.
Ooh, that's a painful one. That's a really long room too.
Yeah.
So here we go. So, did you talk about the way you can manipulate Seekers as well? Sort of tuned out. Sorry.
So, I did not. So they're called Seekers for a reason, and that's because they kind of track where you are and then dash to you. So by standing in the right spots and doing right movements, you can kind of manipulate them into moving how you want them to, which is good, because not only in some screens is it good to have the red blocks broken, but a Seeker can also activate one of the keys to open a door by dashing into it. So, especially in higher level play, you'll see more instances of trying to use a Seeker to open keys for you.
Shredberg did it there in that room there. This room that Shredberg and Cinder out now is probably, up until this point, might be the hardest room. It's such a weird room. You have to backtrack yourself a lot, and the Seeker can really be a pain. With just a couple of unfortunate movements, you can just be dead for no reason almost. But Shredberg does get through it. Ooh, missed the little wall or the dash up, but there we go. It gets through it. Very nice. Done. And Nerd Squared has fallen a bit behind there because of that little red bubble skip, fortunately. But now he's also going to move into the unraveling section. So now we're gonna, on Shredberg's screen, gonna come up very soon to Surge Skip, which is I hope at least. Surge Skip is, yeah, he is going for it. So Surge Skip is skipping this entire section basically, where normally you would have to collect 2 keys, open 2 doors, and take a red bubble across these spikes. But you can do a couple of different techniques, but I guess it's second try very nicely done. So what he did is a reverse extended dash jump, which is not too difficult. But it does save about 2 to 3 minutes, so it's a very, very good skip, and it is pretty much by far the biggest skip in the game.
Yeah. So now I just have to go through the ending section of the search checkpoint.
Nerd Square barely avoiding death 3 times in a row there, but very nicely done. And it's now in the, it's gonna be in the last room here of the unraveling section.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna come up on the Theo section here on Shredberg's screen. So we're gonna meet our friend here that's trapped inside a crystal, Theo. And we're gonna have to bring him to the end of the temple with us. And he's kind of a pain to deal with as well, like most things in this game. When you hold him, you can't dash, and you walk very, very slowly. But you can do quite a lot of interesting things with dashes, because when you pick up Theo, you will carry over any momentum from, say a regular dash, and get a little speed boost as well. So we saw Shredberg do it right there. He did a hyper jump, and then picked up Theo as he was still in the hyper jump, which gave him a lot of extra speed, so you could just fly through the ending of that room.
Mm-hmm. And doing pretty good on the Theo section so far.
Yeah, definitely.
He's
Theo helping out there with the button, as he's saying himself.
Yeah.
Nerd Square now also coming up on Surge Skip here. Let's see if he also can get it as fast as Shred did. Oof, that is over it, unfortunately. Well,
yeah.
Let's see here. Shredberg taking it slow and easy there and gets through that room of the Theo section. Nerd Square having a bit of trouble just positioning himself. Ooh. Not quite there.
It seems to be hitting the wall on the right. Shredberg messing up this room. This is a really cool room to see if it's done correctly, because that
Nice. Hey, Nurse Grade got surge skip as I was looking away.
Nice.
Very nicely done there. I think that was about the 4th try, which
Possibly.
if he has like, I think he has like a 118 PB, which is, yeah, that's a very fast surge skip for that actually. So well done to him.
I think my current PB has it 5th try, and my PB is 41.
Nice. Yeah, it's one of those skips that can, like, it's usually pretty simple, but it can be kind of, oh, it's 3rd try actually. Thank you, Salad.
Okay.
Shredberg now in the... so Shredberg now in the final 2 rooms here of the Theo section, and Nerd Squared is about to join him for the Theo section as well.
Yep. Getting a nice Seeker Bach will add a stamina. Ooh. Alright, so now all Shredberg has to worry about is these little that come out from the right of the screen and will push you backwards. They are kind of mean. Because they push you backwards. You
can dash through them and like stop the momentum backwards, but it is semi-precise and can be just a little bit weird. But he finishes off there with a 28-42, so he has taken quite a bit of lead there over Nerd Squared, as we're now moving into Reflection for Shredberg. Nerd Squared here in the first couple minutes of the Theo section, so he has a couple minutes left there.
Yeah. So, feathers. You want to explain feathers?
Sure thing. So, we have these feathers that lets us fly for a little bit, and you can steer these omnidirectionally, which means all directions, basically. For those who don't know it, like I didn't until a week ago. And not only can you use them omnidirectionally, but it's pretty much not mandatory, but it's very, very good to do so, because if you turn small enough, you can actually carry all your speed and not lose them, or lose it. Also, you can dash out of feathers when you want, but they also have a duration if you decide to wait it out for some reason. In Reflection here, we also have Kevin blocks we're going to see right now on Shredberg's screen there. So these Kevin blocks, you dash into them and then they move basically towards where you hit them. And they're called Kevin blocks because of the wonderful man that made the sounds, Kevin from Power Up Audio, who was a dev on the team. Or dev on, what's it called? He worked on the game.
Yeah.
Yes, I can speak.
Question.
Sorry?
Nothing.
Okay. Nerd Square booping that little seeker in the end there to make sure he doesn't die. I think these are the last 4 rooms now of the Theo section, so it's gonna be finishing up fairly soon. Very soonly.
Gonna be this one, and then the spike wall, and then the last one, and then the eyeball.
Yes.
Going for a different strat I've never seen before.
Interesting. Decides to get pushed by that block. Huh.
I mean, it worked out for him, so.
Yep.
Can't
not gonna complain about it. No, I'm not judging. It's pretty. Like, he crushes the seeker there for good measure. Very nice.
You got a bit of the swags in you.
Shredberg now is started up, or it's about to start up with the hollow section here, where we're gonna see a bunch of forked paths, one up and one down, and most of the runners will take the same route here because it's a little bit faster. There is like one or two that are sort of debated over which is faster, but most people will still go the same way. So we'll see how they do. Yep. We also get introduced here to Shredberg actually getting top route here. Usually, I think pretty universally people take the bottom there, so this is interesting.
I don't think I've ever seen this room.
I think I have once. But he does get through it fairly quickly, so well done. And what I was gonna say, there's also bumpers here now, but which work pretty much exactly like pinball bumpers. So if you don't know how pinball bumpers work, then sorry.
Do you know what pinball is? We call them pinball bumpers for a reason. They just kind of bump you in whatever direction you hit them from. Yeah.
They have one interesting property, which is actually not going to be used here because Shredberg is going another route. But if you hold away from them on the frame you hit, you will actually go about twice as far, horizontally at least. Which is used in the bottom path of the room where Shredberg went top here to skip one of the... to skip a bumper and progress a little faster. But he decides to go over the top right here, so he's going to take a little bit of a while here. And Nerd Square now also in reflection. Who misses? She accidentally jumps off the Kevin block, so he has to go back to get it.
Yeah. I've done that before more than I want to admit.
Yeah, same.
I've been on the edge of the Kevin block and accidentally dashed diagonally and off the Kevin block.
Oh, same. It's the best feeling.
I hate it.
Thanks, me too. So, Nerd Squared, also missed the Kevin blocks again there. Nice wait for it to come back.
Really
Patience is a virtue there.
Get perfectly.
Ooh, Shredberg taking an unfortunate death there at the end of this long feather room there. Those bumpers can be kind of tricky to deal with because they, I don't know, because they are. Ooh, wow, just barely gets through there. Very nicely done. Now entering, meeting up with Grandma here again, and then moving into the start of the battle line chase, I'd say. So we see battle line Sarah here from chapter 2. So we're gonna have to chase her down and confront her because she's done bad things. And yeah. That's what bad people deserve, a confrontation.
Yeah, there's a cutscene that happened with Grandma earlier, where stuff happened, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, Shredberg having a bit of trouble there with the setups here between the spikes. So there's these spikes here that you can get through in these small little crevices. But it is a risk versus reward here because if you die there at the end, which Shredberg didn't, very nicely done, you will actually get sent back to the very top of the screen. Normally, going through a room, you would get like 2 or 3 checkpoints, but since we skipped through it, we would have to retry it. But Shredberg does get it first try there, so very nicely done. And Nerd Squared now also about to enter the forked path section very, very soon. Oh no, Shredberg dies in the spikes there, that's very unfortunate. There we go. So Shredberg now is gonna start, he's actually gonna go for the battle line boost. Let's see if he gets it. Doesn't quite get it, but he does get kind of a lot of speed, nice amount of speed. And now he's into the battle line fight.
Nerd starting the cross-section area by going down. A bit interesting, but makes it work and gets up for the second screen. But yeah, battling. So, unlike Chapter 2, where you wanted to run away from Madeline and prevent Madeline from hitting you as much as possible, now you want to rush towards Madeline and hit her so that she goes either further on to the screen or to the next part of the screen, or to the next screen.
Yeah, and so when you hit the battle line here, you'll actually regain your dash, and most of the times the runners will want to use this dash to get back to the ground, since that's where we actually have movement tech to work with. Shredberg so far doing a very good job of that, and getting through those first couple rooms pretty quickly. Nerd Squared now in the, also in the, I think, last 2 choice rooms, if that makes sense, of the whole section. Ooh, unfortunate death there, gets hit by the bottom side there.
And looks like got one of those things you were talking about by getting a huge boost the wrong way. Alright, Shredberg needed to wait there for the platforms to get back, but good now.
Nerd Squared also opening the top path there at the end, so just as Shredberg did. Hopefully he'll have a little bit less trouble than Shredberg did. Looking like, yeah, he's getting through it on first try, very nicely down there. And now he's gonna go to the last, to meet Grandma here at the last room for, ooh, wow, okay, that was a bit risky from Nerd Squared, but nicely done anyways. And Shredberg here has a little bit to go here in the battle line fight, but is so far moving at a fairly steady pace there, so it's looking like it can be a good run for him. Nerd Square there also has now met up with Grandma and is about to start chasing down Madeline. Shredberg had taken some pretty close calls there with those lasers, but so far he's living. Now in the last room here before the second part of the battle line fight. So you'll see in the next room, Madeline's not going to put up much of a fight. After that, she's going to turn very, very, very evil and somehow gain the power of telekinesis and start moving the ground around her.
Yeah.
which for more experienced runners is not going to be that much of a trouble, but seeing as these people, or these runners, sorry, are a bit on the more unexperienced side, it's going to be interesting seeing how well they deal with these moving platforms here.
It wasn't until you said telekinesis that made me realize her hair kind of looks like Silver the Hedgehog in this form, doesn't it?
I wouldn't know. Sorry.
I'm just thinking out loud at this point. It's fine.
I'll take your word for it.
All right.
Sure, she looks like a hedgehog.
Looks like Silver the Hedgehog. Silver also has telekinesis, which is why I made that connection.
Ah, okay. That makes sense then. So far, Shredberg not having much trouble here, moving through these rooms at a fairly good pace. Meanwhile, Nerd Squared is now starting the Badline fight there. So he is a bit behind still, but for his PB, he's on very, very good pace so far, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely.
And I did talk to Nerd a bit before, and he was pretty nervous about his reflection actually. But so far, he's doing pretty well, I gotta say.
Reflection is a chapter that can easily go wrong, so it's good to see it not going as wrong as possible.
Yeah. Hopefully, we haven't cursed now since. Yeah, that's the thing that happens. But Shredberg here in the last room of the Badline fight, voice that last laser, boings up to the Badline and finishes the fight there. So he's gonna finish that at about a 10-minute reflection, which is absolutely not bad by any means. And now we see Shredberg has leveled up, gained a second dash, but more importantly, in my opinion, the pink hair. So Shredberg here in the last little going up section of election, and is gonna move into the summit here.
Yeah. At the end of the battle and fight, you level up. You get 2 dashes in midair now, and your hair becomes pink. It's just an indication of you having 2 dashes because your hair color and your amount of dashes you have in midair are tied together.
So now we're going to move into Summit. So Summit is going to be basically a recollection of all the chapters, starting off with sort of a reflection-esque chapter, then moving through the chapters 1 through 5, and then finishing up with the actual summit on the mountain.
Yeah, like the original portion. So, Summit is basically just the big bad of the whole game. Like, Battlin's the villain, but this is the big bad. It's a very difficult section. There's a lot of screen. The game knows that with 2 dashes, you have a ton more air. So it just kind of goes crazy with the spikes everywhere.
Yeah, and this is by far the longest chapter of the run. Anywhere from like a fourth to a third of the run, depending on sort of where you are in the world of being good at Celeste.
Having a fairly clean
0 meters
base of the summit. Like me.
Nerd Square now. Nerd Square there in the, I think he's in the last couple rooms here of the first part of the Badline section. Yeah, he's entering the last one now, so Badline is also going to turn Ultimate Evil on the screen very soon. Meanwhile, Shredberg here in the 500 meter section, which is the Forsaken City sub-chapter.
Yeah.
So, what we actually didn't talk about in Chapter 1 is already zipper blocks, and that's mostly because they aren't used that much in Chapter 1 because there's a lot of faster ways to go through.
Yep.
Here they are sort of mandatory because we can't really get enough air most of the time without them. So they just follow their path when we make contact with them. And of course, just like all the other blocks in this game, we can get the momentum from them to get, in this case, a lot of extra height. So for those asking in chat, Shred's PB is a 56 something. I don't know the seconds, unfortunately. So he has about 15 minutes still to PB, which is very, very doable. So I think we might see him PB. And Nerds is a 1 hour 18 minutes. So he's also on really, really good pace for that, actually. Shredberg here, finishing up the 500 meter section. Also, what we haven't talked about yet are these purple orbs here. Those purple orbs are Badline, and she's helping us climb the last parts of each subsection. So if you see her, you know that the chapter is about to change. Now, shredberg in the 1000-meter section here, the old site subsection.
Yep.
So we're gonna see plenty of dream blocks everywhere being used here. So
yeah, and a mechanic that's very useful that's actually not taught to you except for in one of the secret levels, the chapter 2 B side, is you can actually jump out of dream blocks. And that's something you see sometimes in runs just to kind of move faster. Oh, nice save there.
So Nerd Squared has now finished up with the Badline fight there. Very nice. It's gonna be a low 11, which is really, really good still. And he has like, I think, almost half an hour left to PB. So I think we are gonna see him get a really good time there.
It's probably gonna happen.
Shredberg almost finishing up here with the 1000-meter section. Now he's gonna go into the very, very fun 1500-meter section.
Yep. After this screen is done, there we go.
A little risky diagonal dash there, but he does get through, and it's moving on to the 1500-meter section here. So, normally seen as pretty much the hardest of this run. There's a lot of tight cycles, some really punishing rooms, especially in the end, and just yeah. If you think chapter 3 is bad, then it ain't got nothing on this. It can be a real pain.
Yeah, because you see the struggle Shredberg is having with only the second screen of the whole portion.
Yeah, and Kaplan Tune chat, I will call it fun because I'm being sarcastic. If you don't like sarcasm, then get out of my commentary. I
mean, there's good sarcasm, but I mean, calling 1500 fun is just. I don't even think you are allowed to joke about that without like getting shadow banned on Twitter.
You want to do this commentary by your own? I don't like you anymore. Let me be sarcastic.
It's alright, yeah. Whatever.
Anyway, Shred now moving into the second longest room of the 1500 meter, which has some really sort of tight cycles in the end. So far doing very well through it. Oh, of course, as I say that, unfortunate death. Nerd Squared moving into the 500 meter section, still on really good pace. He had a really good base section, so he's on really good pace for the summit. Yeah,
and Shredberg, just a few more jumps. Oh no!
It's hit by that last little dust buddy. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, there are two long rooms in specific in 1500 that really give it a horrible reputation for new runners, and this is the first one of them.
But he does get through that long room now, very nicely done, and he's gonna go into the second long room here after this little short one.
Yeah.
Oh, having a bit of trouble there with the cycles once again. It can be quite tricky.
Yeah.
Deal with. Get through it there, nice little hyper there. So he's gonna go through this really, really long room.
So we'll see how it goes. Fun.
Oh, you can't be sarcastic now, can you?
No. I rule this household.
Sorry?
I rule this household.
Okay. Nerd Square there, finishing up the 500 meter section, going into the old site. Shredberg, meanwhile, in the last couple rooms there for 1500. Still on really, really good pace. He has about 10 minutes left to PB, which is very, very doable.
Yeah.
And Nerd Squared still has about half an hour, so I am almost 100% certain that he's going to PB. So we'll see.
And Shredberg making it out of 1500.
getting to K section here, the Golden Ridge. So we're gonna see the return of the green bubbles, the return of wind, and of course, our dear friends, the snowballs.
Yeah. It also brings back auto scroller blocks, which is going to be fun. Actually, something interesting. Most runners will take the secret path to get to the top of this screen, but it looks like Shredberg is taking the normal screen here, which I feel like this is another one I've never seen in my life. But he's through.
Yeah, that's through there. The top one can be a bit weird. If you want to do it fast, you have to do like a pretty specific wall bounce, so it can be a bit time consuming if you don't know how to do it properly. So I guess Shredberg hasn't learned that yet, unfortunately, but he's still getting through a fairly good pace here. He's moving through, getting to the wind section here, and now he's going to meet the snowballs again, which is another one of those really long rooms, and there's snowballs, so you know it's going to be a harsh one.
Yeah.
Nerd Squared, meanwhile, finishing up the 1000 meter section, going into the dreaded little resort section.
And then Shredberg. I don't know if Shredberg's going to be going for auto scroller skip here.
No, I don't think.
Nope, seeing the stuff that Shredberg already hasn't gone for, I'm not surprised that he's not doing this.
Also very respectable. It is a pretty tricky skip, so
yeah,
absolutely understand him not going for it. Let's get through it on first try. So better than wasting time doing a skip he may be not comfortable with. Oh, dice on that auto scroll though, very unfortunate. Nerd Squared having a bit of trouble here also with the second room, just like Shredberg did. Let's see here.
Right.
There we go, that's very nice.
And,
this room can be a bit weird as well. The cycles there can be just a bit mean.
yeah.
Yeah, decides to reset the, oh, listen. Oh, I see.
No.
Tries to go for the reset there, but unfortunately not quite getting it. Let's see.
Oh.
Nope. There we go, gets through it. Nicely done. And Shredberg here in the Bellline section here of the 2000 meter. So he's gonna be going into the 2500 meter section here with about 7 minutes of PB. So it's gonna be kind of close, but I think he can definitely do it still.
We'll just have to see how these final two sections go as Nerd Squared exits the first of the long screens.
What's that? I think he did it on first try as well, so he didn't lose any time. If I might be mistaken, but I think not.
I don't know.
Getting through this other long room here. Oh, has an unfortunate death there at the end. That's kind of a costly one, so
yeah.
Let's see.
Especially because I think the cycles here are completely different if you're dead.
Yes, I'd say so. Shredberg having a bit of trouble here with all these dash blocks. Okay, there we go, gets through it, nicely done. So we're gonna see if he goes for key skip. No, he does not. Okay, goes for the safer route downstairs. There's a little skip you can do where you do a couple of really precise wall jumps, but it can be, well, it is pretty precise. So him not going for it is perfectly respectable. Squared here having a bit of trouble here with this room here. Or this not little room at all, this long room. Taking a bit slow there and gets through it. Nicely done. Shredberg now. Let's see here. What do you think the chances are that either of these runners will go for door skip?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So Nerd Squared has gotten out of the longer rooms there. Also did the little strawberry room. And now is about to finish up the 1500 meter section here in the last room.
Right, so this is the room before door skip. It looks like Shredberg is going for a really tricky strat where you can do it extended and then squeeze between those spikes. Looks like every time he's getting it, he seems to not have his dash.
There we go, gets through it, very nicely done. He is going for door skip up. That's not the right combination of dashes. Is he gonna go for it again?
Right.
Nope. Okay. Guess. No, he does. Oh.
wants it.
Okay, decides to go for the safer route there.
Oh.
Fortunately, still not super safe. This room can be kind of annoying to deal with.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, Nerd Square there has just started out the 2,000-meter section. So, yeah, he's looking at a really, really good pace. Shredberg having a bit of trouble there still with this this door section. Let's see here. There we go, gets through it, nicely done. Nerd Square has also opted to take the bottom path there in the start. In this little extra room. Ooh, nice save.
Makes it through first try.
There we go. And Shredberg in the last room there of the 2,500-meter section with he's gonna have about 4 minutes left. Well, between 4 and 5, depending on if it's a low or high 56, since he actually didn't specify.
Yeah.
But around 4 minutes, at least, to still PB, which is very doable for 3,000.
Absolutely. And 3,000 is finally kind of a unique design portion, where a cool little thing here is there's a lot of big screens, but the game places these flags as checkpoints in the middle of the screen, and the flags count down, and when the countdown finishes, when you're at the top. So it's really cool. And then there's also vertical wind, which can push you up and down, which basically changes your gravity for like how high you jump or how long you stay in the air. And how quickly you fall, rather.
Yeah, so now we're in the downdraft section here first, which is just high gravity. Nerd having a bit of trouble there, not getting that block where he needs to. What the wow! Okay, Nerd just like running through back and gets the block right as it respawns. That was pretty interesting. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still, unfortunately, not quite succeeding there, but just getting through it now. That was cool, actually. What was I saying? Shred in what's flag is he on now actually? 20, 21? 24? I can't read.
That was 21.
So Shredberg there is in the last room of the downdraft section, and he's gonna go into the updraft zone. So we're gonna see higher jumps, higher or lower gravity overall. So all the good things that Laurie mentioned earlier.
Yep. Oh no. Really close, but Nerd Square not quite making it over. It's pretty interesting seeing someone hitting all the blocks, because usually you're intended to do that, but some runners like to activate no blocks, and in fact that's usually what's fastest, I believe.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know, I usually just play it safe and accidentally activate a block sometimes. Halfway through the countdown, that was 15 and now 14 for Shredberg, as Nerd Squared heading into 2,500. Last portion before joining Shredberg in the finale of Summit.
And these couple of checkpoints here, the 14 and 13, are it's really long and really dumb, in my opinion. They're just really long checkpoints overall, and they have like these weird little specific jumps right in the end where in 14 you have to not use up too much stamina, so you can actually still like climb wall jump. You can neutral wall jump, but it's a bit tricky as well since there are spikes, of course. And this one has just a really, really specific, pretty tight little dash in the end where you have to dash between spikes. So these can be some really, really punishing checkpoints. Nerd Squared is meanwhile just flying through this first section, and he's going for key skip as well. Having a bit of trouble getting up there, but there we go. Let's see him going for it. Nope, nope.
A little bit of mistake on movement. Looks like going for an interesting setup involving screen transitioning. Not one I've ever seen, I gotta admit. But gets it.
There we go, nice. That was like, I think it was third try without death, so that's really, really good. And Shredberg, meanwhile, on the 9th flag now, so in the final 10. About to finish up here. It is looking like he's gonna miss PB, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
He's had a bit of trouble here in 3K.
Especially 9 is really hard. A lot of this dash is really tight.
Yep, absolutely. decides to go for the safety and gets the ace flag. Most runners will decide not to do that, but if you have trouble with 9, there's really no reason not to go for it. So. And Nerd Squared here is in the last couple rooms here of yeah, the last 2 rooms now of the 2,500 meter section, and he still has like 20 minutes left to PB. So I'm fairly certain that we are gonna see a PB from Nerd Squared at least.
Yeah, which is pretty nice.
That's very nice. Maybe he. I don't think he can stop Bauer, unfortunately, but it's gonna be.
I don't think so either.
I think we're gonna see like a 101, 102-ish, so it's gonna be like a 15-minute improvement or something, hopefully. Unless it hurts him to keep dying. Shredberg now on the final 4. Some pretty hard checkpoints here, especially 3 and 2 can be quite tricky for different reasons.
Yeah, I think 4 is a bit harder than 2 in my opinion, but 2 is still pretty tricky.
I have more trouble with 2 personally, but hey,
I mean,
everyone has
the ending is hard.
different. Yeah.
It's one of the most important in stamina management, because as I don't know if we've mentioned, you see some climbing and sometimes people clinging into walls and jumping. Those little jumps take up more stamina than just a normal climb. So if you don't do your climbs very well, you can accidentally use up a bit too much stamina, and it can cause a problem.
Yep. Shredberg now on that second flag here. See if we can get it this time. Oh, nope. Accidentally dashed into the spikes there. Nerd Square now in the down rough section here on flag 28. So he's gonna start counting down there.
Yep, and Shredberg is now on flag 1. So we're gonna be a finish real soon. And that's
Shredberg
it.
There finishes the race and wins with a time of, what was that, 58:09.
Very good.
Congratulations to Shredberg, although it wasn't a PB, still a very good time, gets that sub hour, and does get the win in this race.
Now we just have to see Nerd Square finishing up. Looks like, is that 25, I believe? No, that's 23. My bad. Alright, making good progress on the little jumps here. There's 20, so a third of the way through the flags. What's that number? 117 deaths for Shredberg.
Nerd Square now had a very good 3K so far, it seems, and is moving into the updraft section here. Still on incredibly good pace for a PB, so.
Absolutely. Almost to the halfway point of flag 15. There it is. And then the gauntlet, that is 14 and 13 combined, obviously. You can't have one without the other. Alright, Nerd Squared through 14. A really challenging one.
While we watch Nerd Square here finish up, we have Shredberg here with us. Congratulations on the win, dude.
Thank you.
So we were talking a bit beforehand, and you said you were a bit worried about Summit. So how do you feel like your Summit went after all this?
1,500 meters was as bad as I think that it could have gone, but yeah, most of the other sections were about average. Yeah, I mean, it could have been worse, I guess. There was just, what was frustrating was there was parts of this that I think I did like fairly well, especially because I was doing things safely, and then there were other parts where it was just like I couldn't do it. Like just nerves, I guess.
Yeah, that's understandable. Like 1,500 is pretty much the most difficult section for most people, so it's very understandable that some few deaths there. Other than that, you guys were incredibly close for the most part of the race. Actually, you were pretty much tied until Mirror Temple. I think you finished. What would we say? They finished Golden Ridge how much apart? Like 0.4 seconds.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Then
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, Nerdspred had some trouble with one of the skips in Temple, but to pull ahead. But how do you feel like the race went, except for some of them, overall?
I think like going out of Chapter 3, I didn't feel like it was great. Like, I'm gonna say one thing: I got way more like diagonal inputs on accident than I have ever had in a long time. So I just I blame the Switch Pro controller, even though it's probably me, but I blame it, and I am gonna use a new controller from then on because man, I had so many diagonal inputs.
Man, I just had. Are you using a D-pad or like stick?
I'm using D-pad, and I've tried to use stick. The only other thing that I'm thinking of is like changing to a GameCube controller, because you can technically like work that into the Switch dock, but since that's got the octagon circle on it, maybe that'll help. I don't know, but I cannot use the Switch D-pad anymore.
I can imagine the notches on a GameCube controller being useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I joined the tournament just hoping I can get one win, and then so I got a win. So, you know, doesn't matter what happens in the other 6 races. I'm pretty happy with my tournament result just after the first race. So.
Well,
hey, it was a really entertaining race to watch, especially at the start there. So at least you also put in a good show, so you should be happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna see here. Nursery's about to finish up here. It's on the second flag. He's like still 50 minutes ahead of his PB, so it's looking like we're gonna start off today with at least one PB here.
oh boy.
And your PB was like was it a high or low 57, 56? Sorry, I forget.
It was. I'm actually, you know, I don't know. So let me look that up really quick.
All right. Well, Nerd's on flag 1, so you do have a little bit of time. Not much though.
Yeah.
Okay, here. Let me speed run to my.
Go, go, go.
And a 104.
It's actually a 54.18, so I got that like the end of the year.
54.18. Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
So a couple minutes off there, but at least you got sub hour. And Nerd there finishing off with a 104, which is a PB by about 14 minutes. So that's very, very well done to him. Congratulations, Nerd Squared.
Congratulations,
GG.
Nerd Squared. So
that was a really good race. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And so we don't have a lot of time because we were supposed to have a race starting 15 minutes ago on this channel.
Yep.
So we really do need to wrap up and get moving to that one now that this one's over. So
Shredberg, yeah. Oh,
that's
he just left.
A good race.
Yeah, it's a very good race. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back in a couple minutes here with the next race, so don't leave. We'll be back very shortly, and with a good commentating glory.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We'll have David A and Robin racing next. And then if you stay tuned, right after David A and Robin, still on this channel, is going to be KBZZ and myself racing.
That's actually going to be commentated by Shredberg, so that's going to be interesting.
Which is good. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. All right, so we'll see you guys in a couple minutes. Bye-bye.
All right, yeah, see you.